Well, hello, and welcome back to the Doomcast. This is the Mandalorian Season 3, and we are on Episode 4. I'm with my friend Damon Tucker. We are picking apart and doing deep dives into every one of these episodes. If you've been joining us for the last 3, they've been a lot of fun. So, I guess to start, my name is Dan Umphin. Damon, what did you think of this episode that I didn't expect to get?
Yeah, I didn't expect this episode either. I did say last week that I was expecting a Grogu heavy episode, and we did get some of that. It was a nice short episode, but I really liked it, and I was not expecting it to go the way that it did. Definitely wasn't expecting a kind of softer side of Paz Vizslas that we got to see.
Yeah.
That was an interesting scene, an interesting moment.
Some solid character development out of him, and I think the things I didn't expect. First, you mentioned you were hoping for a Grogu-centric episode, and the way they set it up at the outset, I was like, oh, I guess this is not going to be our Grogu-centric episode, but it ended up being exactly that, because it starts off with the person we find out is Ragnar Vizslas, who is the son of Paz, which leads me to believe that the actor playing that kid is Jon Favreau's kid, maybe.
Oh,
or no,
yeah.
We looked that up, and it's not. Right?
Oh, I don't remember.
I think we did look it up. Anyway, for some reason I thought that was Jon Favreau's kid, and I don't know why I thought that. Anyway, they start off in a paintball game between each other. Grogu wins, tagging him 3 times with force jumps, and then dude gets nabbed by... I will let you name this creature because I don't know what it is.
In my head, it was just a wyvern. That's what I'm calling it. It's a wyvern until they tell us differently. We still have no idea what planet they're on, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, they still didn't give us
the
that.
covert is, but yeah, gets nabbed by one shortly after. I think when we see Paz Vizslas saying he's my son, immediately I can't be the only person to think like, okay, so Mandalorians are smashing with their helmets on.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mandalorians are doing it with their helmets on. They're procreating, somehow, given the helmet rules, which is, as we discussed after the last episode, pretty much the only rule.
There's gotta be exceptions to that. Like, especially in the act of... But it would also suck if you were just like, all right, so I never removed my helmet, and then you're just like, yeah, let's, I can't wait to see you with your helmet off. And they remove their helmet, and they're just like an absolute troll. Like,
let's put the helmets back on. How about, this is the way.
This is the way. That's actually it's Love is Blind in Star Wars. And
yeah.
That's kind of cute in its own way.
Yeah, it is.
You base your mate choice on physical warrior prowess.
So I was kind of under the assumption up until this point that almost everyone in the covert that they're in was a foundling like Din and was kind of taken in. So it's a little bit of a curveball. I mean, I guess maybe not so with Paz Vizslas being of the Vizslas lineage, but for the most part, people being taken in. So to know that there's children being born and raised into it is something that they really haven't touched on, and how that works.
I would say the adults definitely came from somewhere else.
Sure.
Like, because at the end, Book of Boba Fett, it was just Armorer and Paz. And I don't remember how many others, so I don't know how green any of the rest of these Mandos are.
Right.
Or if they're people who were part of other coverts, that they just reconsolidated some of these disparate clans. Anyway, but the armor goes through the process of giving Grogu his first piece of Beskar armor, which you only find out at the end of the kind of sweet backstory that you get.
Yeah, very cool flashback. Obviously not for Grogu. He was pretty distressed re-experiencing that repressed memory.
Yeah.
Which also kind of raises the question of, like, is this, repressed memory due to post-traumatic stress? Was there some sort of, like, mind flayer type thing that that the Empire remnants imposed on him? It's interesting to find out what's held back his memory. Is he repressing it, or did something happen to him?
Also, you know what? I have a couple of questions that I'm sure we'll get answers to eventually, because the introduction of Kelleran Beq as clearly a very well imagined character has me thinking that they're going to do more with him,
right?
And Grogu's backstory, and I wonder, like, where do we get the connection between Grogu, the Jedi, his escape, people that were hiding him, and how did Moff Gideon and the client specifically come to understand who he was? And I wonder if we end up getting that this season.
Right.
And I wonder if there's a link between, like, the client and Kelleran Beq, or, who any of these other people that they're starting to introduce actually are. But I hope we get more of them, because I thought the dual wielding 2 lightsabers and just single-handedly creating like a shield around Grogu, and then the chase was freaking sweet.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I was very pumped to see that, and then they came out like of the, not subway, but the whatever train space right next to Umate.
Yeah, it also made me wonder who, were those Coruscant guards? Who was the team of soldiers that were? Because, I mean, for the most part, they're working with clones almost exclusively,
right,
in that era. So they had to have been some sort of either local military or paramilitary.
Did the ship look like a Naboo ship to you?
I don't think so.
I mean,
kind of
vaguely. I mean, it's basically looked like one fully silver ship with like kind of, and very sleek, aerodynamic, almost like an SR-71 kind of design. So I was like, I don't know. Are these anyway?
Other thing that I have kind of started seeing with Grogu, we have the scene where it kind of gives us a little bit of a bait and switch, where it looks like he's moving rocks, but they're actually all crabs. And then when he's pulled away to do the duel with Paz Vizslas, all the crabs stand up and they go back into the water. So there's kind of a lot of lead ups and hints that Grogu has a connection with creatures, maybe similar to the way that like Ezra Bridger does in Rebels. Not just this season with the crabs and looking out the window at the Purrgil when they pass by, but even in the Book of Boba Fett, when he completely subdues the Rancor. So basically, when he's not eating creatures,
right? Because there was he did eat all of that creature's eggs in that one episode, like almost all of them.
Ate a lot of ate a lot of her eggs. Yeah.
And to be fair, they looked delicious to him. I can understand that, not necessarily that appetizing. I think not that appetizing looking to human beings.
But also with mentions with, already seeing the Mythosaur and then another mention of the Mythosaur this episode is like, is there potentially some kind of lead up between a connection between Grogu and a Mythosaur.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be an encounter. And I'm willing to bank on that being this season at some point, because they're building that up
Right.
already, especially considering we get what we end up getting at the end with Bo-Katan, where she gets after they rescue Ragnar, which was also sweet.
Yeah.
And a great. I mean, the action sequences in the show in general have been fantastic.
Right.
From the beginning of the show, but this has been a great season of it. They kill the wyvern thing, and they rescue the wyvern babies as foundlings. So now they're going to have wyvern-mounted Mandos.
Another creature for Grogu to interact with. I'm putting out there. I think that's what's bound to happen.
I am willing to bank that is probably going to happen as well. And then she gets the, what is it, right or left?
I think it's her right pauldron.
Yeah, is missing, and the armor is like, let's go patch this up. You know, did she say she can't put, what did she say about modern? Like, is there something about Bo-Katan's armor that's completely different from their armor? What
maybe.
she's making?
I don't know though.
I don't know either. Anyway, but she asked about putting the Mythosaur emblem or crest on her pauldron and wearing the night owl on the other side. And then the armor basically kind of hinted that that she maybe knows that Mythosaur are still not myth necessarily.
She's at the very least. I mean, she's familiar with kind of the more magical side of Mandalorian history, so she's open to it for sure. She's not questioning it. I don't think she is doubting Bo-Katan's experience.
Yeah, because she didn't come right out, and I think that she was worried about sounding like a crazy person, being like, "Hey, I saw a Mythosaur, by the way."
Right.
And probably all of them would, or she expected all of them would just be like, "That's not what you saw."
Right.
But the armor, once she actually was like, "No, it wasn't a vision." I'm like, "What did she say?" She's like, "Well, what it was, I really saw one."
Right.
It wasn't a vision, and she was like, this is the way. So,
which, by the way, after everything Bo-Katan experienced this episode, she's definitely going like, damn, this is the way.
Right. And she's also kind of proved herself to everybody in the covert. She was pretty pivotal in saving Ragnar, so she might have squashed some beef with the Vizslas by, hopefully at least.
I think she's starting to see that what she's gone through with Din and what she's seen from him is that he's a direct result of his upbringing in the Children of the Watch, and so she's kind of starting to go like, yeah, that's why he is the dude that he is, and I kind of get this.
Yeah,
it's not as crazy as I thought it was. You
who are perpetually afraid of droids, don't understand that Jedi aren't a race. You very sheltered. He really does remind me of the kids that got homeschooled who were had parents that were evangelicals.
Yeah.
And that they would come to school to join the basketball team, and you would get to know them, and they would just be like, I can't say sucks. We don't say that at our house.
That's not the way.
Yeah, this is the way. You never remove your helmet? I never remove my helmet. All right, kid, cool.
And there was kind of the fun campfire scene where they talk about, how do you eat in front of other people? And they're just kind of like, you don't. When we exchange food, we all go find somewhere to take our helmets off. Paz Vizslas tells her that as the leader of this excursion, or whatever he called it, that she gets to sit by the campfire.
Right.
And she's got some magic in her helmet because her hair is perfect every time she takes it off. Din's, we saw him take his helmet off a couple of times before, and his hair is messed up every time he takes. He looks like he's very disheveled. Her hair is perfect every time she removes her helmet. So that's a.
He also keeps a mustache, which is just like. That's an interesting choice, specifically that you're like, I'm never going to take my helmet off. You would think that you would just have like a short beard. Because
Right.
it's like, who's going to see you? Who
Right.
cares? But no, specifically a mustache. It's the very Pascal thing to do. I appreciate it.
Very. Any predictions on what's to come next? What are we going to see soon?
I wonder how soon we're going to flip back to. I'm calling this at some point, either this season or next. But I really think that they're going to, in this season, give us more backstory on Elia Kane, and I really hope that we get more of Kelleran Beq, because I thought that was a sweet character.
Very.
I was excited to see more Jedi, and at least hope that we get. You know what would be sweet? No, he'd be way too old at that point, and probably would have died. I don't know. Cal Kestis. I wonder if we ever get like any interaction there. I don't know. I just want to see him bring some of that stuff together. But like,
I do
at
think
this-
we'll see Cal Kestis at some point in the live action Star Wars.
it
universe.
makes too much sense,
Right.
Because it like Cameron Monaghan's already there.
Yeah.
You could put him in some shit.
Absolutely.
Like, let's just roll. But also, you couldn't, like, at this point, Cameron Monaghan would have to be aged forward, like, what, 40 more years? So he'd be like a, I mean, because at what point, I'm just trying to think of what point, like, the games take place roughly in the same timeline as Obi-Wan.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like 9 years before the Battle of Yavin. And I said that weird, but so if that's like 9 or 10, so we're thinking like that's like a decade before, and this is roughly a decade after, maybe more. So they'd only have to age him like by 25, 30 years, but man, that's still like, I don't know.
Yeah. I actually
not a
don't feel like
50-year-old
we'll see him in the Mandalorian.
Not in this.
But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities to see Cal Kestis in something live action at some point.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna play off of the popularity of the games, which they're sweet, and the new one's coming out, which is
Very
looks
exciting.
dope.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna get more Elia Kane. I think that we're going to get eventually more Kelleran Beq, and I do think that by the end of this, we're going to see the Mythosaur. Like, they're going to go back to the mines of
Yeah.
Mythalore. But I think that that's also going to prompt a confrontation with whoever Elia Kane's working for. And whoever was behind the TIE Interceptors and bombers.
Yeah.
Probably.
Which I'm thinking is almost certainly Gideon.
Yeah.
I think we're halfway through. Assuming this is 8 episodes, I believe it is. But I think with the pacing that we're going at, I think we might not see more interaction with the Empire remnants until the last like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
'Cause I think there's too much other stuff kind of happening that's been hinted at or that's been introduced that is probably going to take place first. Like, I think that we'll see another interaction with the pirates before we deal with the Empire.
I have already forgot about them. But yeah, I feel like we'll probably see some of that for sure. I just wonder, like, what, and it, because like it was after the Battle of Jakku that the remaining Empire fled to like the unknown expanse, unknown space to go and ended up creating the First Order. But like, my question is exactly how far off is that battle from this point? Mm-hmm. You know, like how, because it was like, what wasn't it like 10 years out from?
Yeah, it wasn't long. It's a relatively short period of time before the First Order.
I'm gonna have to look at the timeline because I wonder if because I don't think we'll get that in this show, but I wonder if like in Ahsoka or something else like connected, if we'll get some of that. I would be surprised if they don't end up giving us that as well in live action Star Wars.
I think the arc that we're likely to see this season kind of go through in terms of like the more broad story is I think that we're going to see what the history of like the like Gideon's intentions of what he wants Grogu for. We've seen a lot of stuff like with Dr. Pershing in the last episode with the cloning. I think it's all leading towards the somehow Palpatine returned, sort of explaining the origins of that.
Yo, that would be crazy, but I feel like you're right. Like, that's, why else would they be talking about, like, cloning individual, or, I think that's got to be the direction that they're going. So I wonder if we end up getting, like, the origins of, like, Snoke as a created artificial being. Man, this is wild. This could get nuts.
Yeah.
Damn, I don't know. I'm with it. Any final thoughts?
Pirates next episode. Hondo, please.
I would like to see Hondo. I very much would. I would also like to see Elia Kane, more of her, but also getting her ass kicked at some point by somebody.
Absolutely.
So, hopefully. All right. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching. Peace.